Parshas Chayei Sarah 5785. Let us start at the beginning of Parshas Chayei Sarah, a beautiful parsha. Vayu Chayei Sarah, Me'ah Shana, Ve'esrim Shana, Ve'sheva Shanim, Shnei Chayei Sarah. Sarah's lifetime was 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years. And Rashi says, why does it have to say Shana after each time? Why does it have to say 100 years and 20 years and 7 years, the lifetime of Sarah? So Rashi says it's to tell us, shekol echad nidrash atzmo. Each year has to be expounded on its own. To tell you that Bas Mea Kabas Esrim when she was 100 years old, she was like 20 with respect to sin. Ma Bas Esrim Chata, just like when she was 20, she didn't sin. Sharei Eina Bas Onshin, because she was not liable for punishment. Av Bas Mea, so too when she was 100, she didn't sin. And Ubat Esrim Kavas Sheva. And just like when she was 20, she was like 7 Biyofi. What that means, hopefully you can still hear me. What that means is that she was pure. She was total purity. That her body was pure, just like when you're 7, you're pure. And that's what it means by beautiful. It means to say that there's no blemishes, that there's no the most beautiful person is a person who's never, like not full, is just pure. And so that's when she was 20, she was pure like she was when she was 7. I also want to see, I have this book with commentary on Rashi, so I want to see if they have any, since we've done this Rashi several times, I want to see if we have the commentaries on this Rashi. Hold on one second. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, fine. So here, yes, Rameir Miparmashlan says, what does it mean that when she was 100, she was like 20? When she was like 20, she was like 7 with respect to sin and with respect to beauty. So Rashi said, so Rameir Parmesan says, this is Rashi, is based upon the fact that the first word is Vayihiyu. What's that called? When you can read the same word backwards and forwards. It's spelled the same backwards and forwards. What's that called? A
palindrome.
Palindrome. That's what it is. So the word Vayiyu, the first word of the portion, is a palindrome. Vav Yud Hey Yud Vav. Did you ever realize that, Rabbi Yosef? So the first word is a palindrome, and that's to tell us that Sarah's life, her end of the life was like her beginning. The end of her life was like her beginning. It was a palindrome. Beautiful.
So,
okay.
Running back to Parshat Noach, do we know how old she was when her father died?
Who?
Sarah.
Sarah. I don't think, well, we'd have to go look.
No, it doesn't say it in the Parsha. I'm just asking if you ever heard of
no.
Or because that, like, on the one hand, it's very, very traumatic. On the other hand, we know that her whole life she was pure. So somehow, she got up from that trauma and didn't let it affect her in terms of her belief in Hashem, right? So
she overcame that. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. That's a good point. Another idea is that this is from another explanation. Hello there, Moshe and Ezra's here. Baruch Hashem. So there's another version of Rashi where it states it says in the Midrash, when she was 100, she was like 20 with respect to sin. And when she was 20, she was like 7 with respect to beauty. So in this special edition of Rashi, we're Parshas Chayei Sarah Moshe, which is chapter 23, verse 1. In this special version of Rashi, instead of 100, she was like 100 with respect to 20 for beauty, and at 20, she was with respect to 7 for sin. So there's a different version. Take the Chumash, Ezra. Take the Chumash. So that's a different version of it. Another discussion comes from the Mayana Shal Torah, which says when she was 100 with respect to when she was 100, she was like 20 with respect to her energy, and when she was 20, she was like 100 with respect to her righteousness. Meaning to say, this is a very beautiful version also, that this version views the 100 not just as a defect, but as something filled with righteousness, that of experience, of yeshiva das. Hold on, I'm going to pause this discussion for a moment. I don't want this to be on the recording. So what this version of the Midrash is saying is that don't look at 100 as the defect. The 100 he was like respected to hey Bill, 100 respect to 20 as relates to sin, and here it's saying no. When she was not only that, but when she was 20, she was like 100 with respect to righteousness, with experience and yeshiva das and so each of them have strength. Youth has strength, and senior citizens have strength. Oh, here, Jerry, we're talking about this midrash. Jerry, we're talking about you because God willing, in a little bit you're going to be 100. So the first Rashi of the portion says that when Sarah was 100, it says she was 100 years and 20 years and 7 years. And it says that when she was 100, why does it say like that? So Rashi says it mentions Shana each time. Tell us that when she was 100, she was like 20 with respect to sin, that a 20-year-old hasn't sinned, and neither has a 100-year-old. And when she was 20, she was like 7 with respect to beauty. But now there's another midrash which tells us that it goes another level and says when she was 20, she was like 100 with respect to righteousness. And according to this version of the midrash, it's viewing the not just the 20 as a strength, but also the 100 as a strength. That the 100 has the wisdom, has the experience, has the perspective, and the 20 has the energy and the vigor. And so therefore the Torah is telling us that she had both qualities. She had the special qualities of being a senior mind, and also the special quality of being useful. This is that they went hand in hand together. When she was 20, she already had the qualities of wisdom, and she was 100. She still had the qualities of youth. Elon has a question, and then Jerry. Yes, Elon.
My question isn't 7 a little young? Like,
why
can't it be like 6, 18?
Right. So the point is that 7 doesn't mean she was like beautiful in the sense of like Vogue magazine beautiful, but she was beautiful in the sense of purity. That her essence was pure, and that shines forth. Like when you see somebody who's 7 years old, you just see them as just like like this person who is like no artifice to them, God forbid, and they're just so close to Hashem because they're so pure. Doesn't mean beauty in the sense of the way American culture or international media defines beauty as like makeup. It doesn't mean anything like that at all. Yeah, Jerry, our star. Yes, Jerry, please.
I'm going to raise an embarrassing question. Abraham pimped off his wife Sarah to one of the kings until it was revealed to the king that she was really the wife of Abraham. So how could we say that the 127 years represented a purity in each of the years that's mentioned in the verses?
I don't have an answer to that, but Ramban does say, like you're saying, that Abraham did a very big sin. So,
well, she was violated. So,
right.
So she did not live although.
It doesn't say that she never was violated. It just said that she didn't sin.
It wasn't. She was passive.
Yeah, she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. Her husband did something wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, let me read to you what the Torah Moshe says. That says, God knows the ways of the pure, just like they are pure, so too their years are pure. You might have thought that you would have found, this is literally what the Torah Moshe, I think that's the Chasam Sofer says. You might have thought, God forbid, that there was some defect in the actions of Sarah. That he says that maybe she gave Hagar to Avram, and then she expelled Hagar and Ishmael from the house. So the Torah tells us that all her years were pure, without any sin or blemish, and everything was an action of prophecy and for the sake of heaven. That's what the purpose of this is, to teach us that everything was being done for the sake of heaven. Do one more thing about this first Rashi, and then we'll go on. It says, when Rashi says she was 100, she was like, when she was 20, she was like 7 with respect to beauty. And okay, so you asked the question, what do you mean beauty? But there's another question. It says in the Proverbs, which we're studying on and every afternoon at 2:00 with Rabbi Mark Gittler, I highly recommend. It's a beautiful shir. It says, "Sheker achein ve'evel ayofi." Beauty is false, and hevel yofi, and yofi is nothing. So we don't care about beauty. So that's what it means. This is what this pshat means. This is what Rabbi Yoshua of Kutna says. Oh, listen to this kishmak explanation, Elon. When I tell you this, you're going to love it so much. You're going to love it so much. He says like this, that when she was 20, she treated beauty like when she was 7. Just like a 7-year-old doesn't have any arrogance and doesn't try to make herself think she's better than anybody else because of her beauty, that she's pure. So too Sarah, when she was 20 and she was so beautiful, she didn't exalt herself with her beauty, but she was pure like a girl of 7. That's what it means. That's kind of like what I was saying. What? Somebody said something. So that's kind of like what I was saying. Okay, so now we're up to now we're going to see. Jerry wants us to hit the highlights of the Rashis, but there's so many beautiful Rashis in this parsha. So let's see the next Rashi, and we'll do a commentary on that Rashi. We're doing some of the commentaries on this Rashi. So the next Rashi says, chapter 23, verse 1. Chapter 23, verse 1. The Rashi says that these were the years of Sarah's life. Kulo Shavin Latova. All of the years were equally good. Meaning to say, she maintained her saintliness throughout her life, even beyond the age of 100, which is, of course, tricky. So what does this mean? Kulan Shavin Latova. Let's see what this means. So there's a lot of commentary on what does this Rashi mean. So we have here 5 comments. One is from the Sfas Emes, the Ger Rebbe. He says there are differences and exchanges in the years of a man. So there are some advantages to being young and some advantages to being old. But the pure righteous people, they are complete in all their qualities, all the days of their life. And this is not something that's natural, but this comes straight from God. And that's what it means. God blessed Abraham with everything, with this shleimus, with this completion at all times. Meaning to say that when they were younger, they had the wisdom of being older. And when this is the idea we were saying before, when they were older, they had the youth, the energy, the qualities of being older. So that's one explanation. Another explanation of what does it mean all the years were good comes from the Yeriot Shlomo. Who's the Yeriot Shlomo? Rabbi Yosef, can you tell us who that is? The Yeriot Shlomo? I'm not sure. Yeriot Shlomo. So he says, you could say in a short manner, what does it mean? He says it's difficult. Why did Sarah not live as many years as Abraham? Why didn't she live to 175 years? She was just as righteous. So the Midrash says that 48 years, there were 48 years at 48 years old, Abraham recognized God. And so therefore, it's like Abraham was born at the age of 48, because that's when a convert is like a reborn person. Hold on one second. And so when you take away from 175 years, 48 years, you get to 127 years. But that's if Sarah, that only works if Sarah was righteous all the days of her life. But if we say that Sarah entered into her but if we say that Sarah became pure only later in life, like Abraham, then it doesn't work. So therefore, it has to say Sarah was good from the beginning. It means to say Abraham became converted to belief in God at the age of 48, whereas Sarah, the point was she matched Abraham year for year, so she was born that way. She didn't have to convert at 48. Right when she was born, she understood that she wanted to be worshiping Hashem. That's the idea of the Yiriyot Shlomo. Who's Yiriyot Shlomo?
There's 5 different ones.
The Hasidic Rebbe. He gives a beautiful pshat here.
It will be either the Av Beit Din of Kova, so 1863, or
That's probably who it is.
or Rabbi Shlomo Yehuda Rappaport. Anyway, and you were right about the Torah Moshe. It is Chatam Sofer.
Okay. We have to say which Yiriyot Shlomo is. I don't know which one. You had a question, Elon?
Oh yeah, about like ages in the Torah in general. Like, is there a reason that over time people like over here people were living
Right.
900 years and then like
That's
40
it.
years?
Yeah, obviously you're right that it must be that we only, some commentators say that only the most righteous were able to live long, and then as we descended in righteousness, they started living normal lives.
Some non-righteous people live pretty long. Like
Yeah, you're right.
Cain lived a long time and he killed himself.
Yeah. I don't have an answer to that, but you're right, Elon. It's a very good point.
Are they supposed to be?
This Shabbos, when you come, we're gonna strike that. We're gonna strike that.
Maybe it's not supposed to be taken literally. We're supposed
That's
to say,
also true.
like they did in their like 100 or 80 years or whatever, they did like as much as someone could do in 900 years. That could be a shot.
Okay, beautiful. All right. I have to get an explanation. Let's look now at the next. The next explanation of that Rashi comes from the Nachalat Chamisha. You can tell us who that is, Rabbi Yosef. Nachalat Chamisha. What does he say about this Rashi? You could say that Sarah, even though she had bad years in her life, meaning to say that she had challenging years because up until 90 she didn't give birth, but she remained, even though she was challenged, she remained with total joy and trust in God. Because it says, through Isaac will your seed be called. Meaning to say, so what does that mean? Through laughter, through hope, through happiness, through faith. So Sarah, through all the challenges she had in life, was never without faith and hope. And not only that she fulfilled the blessing, fulfilled the obligation. A person is obligated to bless for the bad, just like they bless for the good. And you have to say with joy. And so that's what it means. Kul and Shavim Latova. Even the challenging days were for her. She considered them to be good. That's why it says Sarah. Everything. You see these rabbis, they take these lines that we in Rashi that we might have thrown away, God forbid, or not appreciated the significance, and they go deeper into them. Okay, yeah. What are we going to say, Rabbi Yosef?
Rav Chaim Moshe Gostinsky is a Holocaust survivor, and he published his book in 1949.
Imagine a Holocaust survivor writing
New
those
York.
words.
Before that, he was from Zamosh, however you pronounce that.
Wow, that's very powerful. That's a very powerful thing to come. That's why we have to look up who writes each thing. A Holocaust survivor said those words. It's a lot more significant than somebody who didn't go through the Holocaust saying those words. Now, the next words from the Drash Ve'ayun. You know the Drash Ve'ayun is? That was Nat Lewin's great-grandfather. It was the Reish Rav, the rabbi of Lviv, the chief rabbi of Lviv, the Reish Rav. So he writes as follows. He says, like Jerry said, how can you say everything was good, but wasn't there a lot of bitterness that Sarah tasted in her lifetime? But she didn't pay attention to them. She accepted it all with spirit and joy, the bad and the good. And that it's the same idea. And this is why it says, Kul and Shavim Latova. Also the bad she accepted with love. What is the next? One more on this idea. Kuan Shem Tova. This comes from the Sfas Emes, the Ger Rebbe, the path of the simple man. The older he gets, the smarter he gets, and he makes his ways better. He changes his measures, his behavior. So therefore, the days of their life are generally speaking just the last moments. Generally speaking, the last moments when they reach the pinnacle of who they are as a human being. But Sarah lived her whole life without any defect. Even though she elevated herself when she got older, that is only because she had more good deeds, but not because she changed her actions. So there was no defect in her that needed to be fixed. That's what it means. Everything is considered good. So this is these are some of the commentaries on this Rashi. So we've seen the two Rashis we've commented on so far are the idea of 120 and 7, and also all the years were considered for good. Now we're going to go to the next Rashi that we'll comment on is, hold on, let's see the next Rashi to comment on. That we could comment on the small chaf, but we're gonna stick to the Rashi for now. Maybe we'll come back later. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Okay, you know what? Let me just go to this. Okay, so it's just, you know what? Just before we stop, I'll just go into 3 because it's the first pasuk and I commented on it. Why is the chaf in the second verse small? It says Abraham came to Sarah to eulogize her and to cry for her. Why is the chaf in the word liv kota? Why is it written as an ot katan, as a small letter? I'm very sensitive to the letters now that I write them. So why is it written small? So the first explanation comes from, it says Eishes Chayei, a woman of valor. She's a teres bala. She's the crown of her husband. This is Sarah, who Avram nit'atar ba v'hi nit'atar bo. Abraham became crowned through her, but she did not become crowned through him. And when she died, he lost his crown. And the chaf hints to the letter crown, keter. So therefore it's written small, because Abraham lost his crown without his wife. So sad. Very sad. Another explanation is from Rav Zalman Ottenheimer. He said that the 2 qualities that Sarah had, she was 20, like 7 for beauty, and 100, like 20 for sin. She didn't cry. The fact that she didn't cry for her beauty, he didn't cry for her beauty, but he cried for her righteousness. That's why it says 20. So the chaf was small. He was only crying for her righteousness, not for her beauty. And the last explanation, then we'll dive in the mincha. It says the small chaf, that he only cried a little bit. That's from the Balaturim, because listen to what it means. Wow, I never knew this. What day did the Akedah happen? What day did the Akedah happen? Yom Kippur. And so there was 3 days to go from the Akedah, and so therefore he had to walk 3 days back. So what day did Sarah die? Erev Sukkot. And she was buried on that day. And so he only had mourning for 1 day because it was Erev Yontif. So the crying was limited. And did you catch that, Rabbi Yosef? This is why did the mourning was limited, because there was only mourning for 1 day, because she died on Erev Yontif.
So
All right,
so
yeah.
stop the recording and then I'll tell you.
Yeah, what are you